Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar brought to you by Kenanga Investment Bank and managed by PESTECH International Bhd. So we are very excited to be hosting you today for this webinar, which is titled Live Chat with PESTECH International Bhd, Technology to Keep the Lights On. Today, we are very excited because we have invited the Managing Director cum Group CEO, Mr. Paul Lim, to join our live chat session on this Zoom webinar. So how is everybody doing? Are you doing great? Okay, before we begin, can you please kindly tell us like where you are tuning from? Are you from like KL, Penang, JB, Kuantan, Sabah, Sarawak? Okay, please type in the chat box to tell us like where are you tuning in from? Yes, good evening, everybody. Oh, yes, we have our friends here from JB, Penang, KL, Perak, Selangor, PJ, Kuching, Sarawak, Malacca, Shah Alam, literally everywhere from Malaysia. Okay, Kelantan, Terengganu. All right, cool. Thanks, everybody, for letting us know about yourself. So we even have shareholders tuning into this webinar. Wow. All right. So looks like everybody, a lot of people are in now. We have a few hundred people on the line right now. And this session is also simultaneously cast on YouTube, our YouTube channel. So thanks everybody for spending your precious evening to join this session. I know your time is very precious. So we will make it a best session for you to understand about PESTECH International. PESTECH International is actually a power infrastructure technology player listed on Bursa Malaysia since 2012. So by joining this session, you will gain insight into this company, understand the business performance, particularly in first half of financial year 2021, and also understand what the future prospect, what does the future hold for them. So this year we see that PESTECH International's share price has been on the uptrend. So today we have invited the CEO, Group CEO, to come to this session so you can ask him any pertinent question that you want to know about PESTECH. All right. So before we begin, just want to go through the disclaimer. So whatever we share on this webinar is only for educational purpose. So in no way that we give any recommendation to buy or sell any company. So if you decide to make any investment decision after this webinar, you do it at your own risk. All right. So without further ado, let me just invite and hand over the session to Mr. Paul to share with you about PESTECH Internationals, their company's background, the business performance for first half financial year 2021, as well as the future's prospect. Okay, over to you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Shan. So let me try to share my screen. I cannot start sharing my screen. It says here, Shan.
Oh, you may. I stopped sharing already.
Oh, okay. Now, all right. All right. Yes. I hope everybody can see it. Yeah. Okay. So this is about PESTECH International, company that I've associated with since the year 2000. So while we have a little bit of our own disclaimer. Wait, hang on. Okay, our own disclaimer, or some of the statement that I make may be forward-looking. So you're making a decision on your own after you're listening to me. That's what like Shan was saying. So okay, so let's start by sharing a bit of information about PESTECH. So the company is actually been around since 1991. Before we got listed, we are called PESTECH Bhd. But as of today, we have exported to a region of around 20 countries, of course, focusing in Southeast Asia region. And at this moment, our various offices has got 698 employees. Major offices is, of course, Malaysia, Cambodia, Philippines, and China. So what exactly do we do? Ladies and gentlemen, we call ourselves call ourselves the builders of electrical infrastructures for power grid and transportation systems. So what it means by that is we have divisions that is doing the electrical substation. We build the backbone of the transmission network in utilities all over the region, in Malaysia, of course, and Papua New Guinea, Cambodia, Philippines, Laos. We have done work in Western Africa. If you see the map just now, as far north, we have done work in Kyrgyzstan. Down south, we have gone all the way to Australia by delivering them products. But we have done substations from 33 kVs to 500 kVs. These substations, we build it based on EPCC module, where we design and build from civil works all the way to structural, and of course, equip the most important part, the equipment in a substation. So other than substation, we also do transmission line, of course, in order to bring power safely to the consumer. And the transmission line that you see maybe along the highway, we have done from 33 kV all the way to 500 kV in the region. And also underground cables, because for city like Kuala Lumpur, you will not see transmission line. So they are all underground. So we have done 33 kV all the way to 275 kV of underground cable constructions. And other than transmission line, substation, and all that, recently, since year 2016, we have gone into real electrification. So after 4 or 5 years, real electrification has actually become quite a major part of our works, concentrating, of course, still in Malaysia, even though we have done work in Bangkok. But real electrification has become one of our major upside of the group as potential, which I'll go through it a little bit afterwards. Okay. Power plant automation and upgrades. We have a division that is looking at power plant. So we have done quite a lot of works actually all around Malaysia into upgrading their control system and upgrades of their balance of plant and stuff like that. Other than that, we also are doing EPC for solar farm, which we are involved in a 50 megawatt plant in Bidor, Perak, connecting the AC part to the grid. But currently, we are also doing one solar plant in Bavet, Cambodia for 20 megawatt. So that is the power plant side. Other than all the services, we have our own products, mainly executed by our division called PESTECH Energy, where we do control and protection system, as well as switch gears up to 33 kV. And these switch gears are approved now in Tenaga National Unit, Tenaga Distribution Sdn Bhd, that can be able to deliver to Tenaga for use in their network. So we do have products of our own that we manufacture and assemble in our factory in Bukit Beruntong, as well as in U5 Shah Alam. So basically, as a summary, this slide shows you what we do. Basically, is the builder of electrical infrastructures for our grid, as well as for transportation system. So opportunity is a lot around the region, because we are in the region of growth of Southeast Asia, where the basic per capita energy usage per person in Southeast Asia is actually much small compared to country like America, Europe, which means to say that urbanization and modernization will continue to progress, where it will demand more and more power, and it will demand more and more grid facility and transportation system powering up through electricity. So with that, I hope everybody understand what we are focusing on, and our main business is about what activity. However, the business segment of the group, we divided into 3 segments. One is EPCC, which I touched on just now. All our works, we are able to do engineering, procurement, constructions, cost testing, and commissioning. It's a know-how that we have in our group. And the other business segment is called concession, where actually since year 2016, we have created a division of income stream through a concession business, where we are no longer just waiting every year on EPC, but also complemented by concession income that is recurring. So with that, of course, we have done some investment, which I'll go through what is the effect on our books with this income stream that we have created since 2016. And of course, like I said, we have a products groups. So how each division is doing of the last half year, if you have look at our result as of December 2020 cutoff, in terms of works, EPCC is 350 million. Concession income is given us 69 million ringgit, and product is 7 million. So our books have got a turnover of 427.4 million as of half year 2020-2021. But because of concession and because of accounting standard, we also have an income that's called finance income, where it is contributed about 22.5 million half year of year 2021. Actually, our real revenue turnover is about 449 million, 450 million ringgit, compared to previous year half year is 399 million. So with that, of course, in the books, you also know, I just had a summary here, where we have actually scored better in both EBIT, EBITDA, and profit after tax. But however, because we have some non-controlling interest sharing with some of our partners in our Cambodia project, the owner's part that is sharing the profit after tax reported is actually reduced by 15% if you compare half year to half year. But interestingly, I just want to point out some of the things that you may not see is our owner's part of the books are affected actually by this element of unrealized forex loss in our books which we carry. This is because in our books balance sheet right now, we have about close to 50 over million US dollar asset, US dollar based asset that we are waiting to collect whenever that is due from our concession business. As well, of course, because of the fluctuation of US dollar, our account has to be reporting on unrealized losses. So basically, it's a paper loss as of 31st December 2020. So if you take out that one on paper loss, we are actually making an extra another 15.3 million. And all these 15.3 million is actually belong 100% to the owners of the company, which is all the shareholders. If we add on to that 23 million, we are actually 38.43 million if we take out the paper loss. So in fact, our groups is doing at a 42% increment compared to the first half year of 2020, if you compare that with the previous half year. So ladies and gentlemen, if you really look at that, the asset that we have in terms of US dollar is experiencing unrealized loss because of the currency that we have to report in, not because of the real loss. But how are we doing in terms of a realized forex? Is it a gain or loss? Well, over the years, I put up a figure here. We have actually experienced net realized forex gain all the time. This is mainly because all our collection of US dollar are actually timed and scheduled. So we actually really know when are we collecting all the US dollar because of all the concession contract that we have achieved COD. So we are able to plan ahead based on the hedging instrument that we have in the groups. So hopefully this explain a little bit on our reporting of our account in the first half year of 2021 year, financial year 2021. So with that behind me, I'd like to go a little bit on tell maybe all the people what are actually PESTECH doing. We are a counter in the Bursa that is unique because we are not what they call it, property developer, plantation, banking, which is all most of the conventional stock company, and not a GLC, of course. Our projects are, like I said, including transmission line and substation. But before I go into that, about early of the year, when we announced a project, we also announced a cancellation of a project on our Fiji project that we won. Actually, about a year ago, we received a conditional award. But during a year of this negotiation of when we will finish the job, and we meet up with our friend COVID-19, which we are not able to come to a concession between the client and us into finalizing an acceptable contract forward-looking risk management. So both parties decided to mutually, amicably terminate the project first. So basically it's like, I like you very much, I want you to do the job, but sorry, maybe it's best for both parties not to proceed because of the COVID uncertainties. So we have decided to accept that, and also the client are happily terminating it so that there's no risk if we go ahead with the execution of the project. So that's why the reason when we announced also the cancellation of Fiji project. Hopefully that clear a little bit of understanding what is the background of the bad news that we announced, other than all the good news. So with that behind me, actually, we'd like to highlight here is PESTECH. Also, we are supplying smart meters into TMB. I'm sure you have heard the news about the impending changing of smart meters in the Klang Valley after they successfully done it in Malacca by TMB. Our share of the portion is about 240,000 units of smart meters, which we are currently still ongoing of supply. Will supply complete everything by June. So with this, we actually are becoming one out of the 4 supplier of TMB that is currently ongoing supplying this energy meter, and completely tested and accepted by TMB. We have so far delivered about 163,000 units of meters to TMB for use in Klang Valley. We are particularly proud about this one because smart meters help the utility to better efficient managing the network, as well as to give information to consumer. And with this platform, we are able to offer this service to other utility in the region. For example, in Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, Bali, as well as Cambodia, maybe. So this actually opened up a door for us to do other than just big substation and transmission line work, but also go into the consumer service part, where we are able to give exact information to the utility about how people is using the electricity, when, and then whether they are stealing the electricity or not. Sorry, gentlemen. So next is the, I like to show this because this is a mobile substation there, which our engineers has successfully completed it through our JICA project, supply it to Iraq. And what is this? I don't know if everybody know or not. We actually put substation on a truck where they can truck the substation to a specific location where they like to put it, and then put the thing into service to serve the people in the community. And everybody understand Iraq is a war-torn area, very unstable. So they will bring the substation, truck it to the place they want, park it there, connect it up, and they can give supply to the village or the community. So of course, at the same time, they can unplug and drive it away when there's trouble in it. So we have actually completed this job sometime in December last year and delivered the products to Iraq in January. And this is funded by Japanese fund called JICA. So we are very proud we are able to secure the project to open tender, competing with all the MNC, win the job, design, and then finish the job and deliver on time for this. So we are now one of the few that has in the world that has got experience in terms of supplying mobile substation into any utility in the world. So this one, is the substation that we completed in this project. OKVAV, I'd like to show this because this project is actually, we win it in January 2020 and COVID came and still COVID, but we finished the job in February 2021. So this is a job in Cambodia that we won, we executed during COVID and then completed before COVID go away. So actually salute to my guys. We actually commissioned it in February or early March, this substation. This substation is supplying to a gold mine in Cambodia. So there you go, gentlemen, you need power in order to mine. So that's why our service is required all around the region to give various kind of facility and convenience to the people executing and delivering the job to the community. So other than that, in Malaysia, I'd show a little bit. This is Junjong, one of the key substations in the north, where we'll handle 2,400 megawatt of electricity, transmitting to the north and bring it down from Tawau in TMB. So this is a site that has got 500 kV switchyard, and this one we like to show because this is the first substation we managed to convince TMB that we use a precast construction method instead of a conventional method. And with this, we are able to save about 50% of the labor to use in the substation construction of a building, and also all the different kind of plywood and formworks that we use in a conventional method is reduced tremendously, and there's no plywood, almost zero use at the site. And so we are promoting sustainable kind of construction also while we constructing the substation. So this is, we are very proud that we are the first one that is doing it in situ at site without using the standard kind of precast method in the market and apply it to TMB. So, and then this job is quite unique because this job got substation and also transmission line, and barriers are all around the region, ladies and gentlemen. We are able to do the job, including with both substation and transmission line together in order to give solution to the utility in one-stop engineering solution as well as execution. When you include transmission line, substation, underground cable all together, and we are not required to work with any other party that has got different skill. So this is one of the plus point as a system integrator of PESTECH after going into the industry for more than 20 years. Right, so this is another job in Kuala Lumpur. This is 275 kV underground cable in Kuala Lumpur from AMPANG to Prince Court Hospital. You can see the map: Jalan Enggang, Jalan Ampang, Jalan Yutat, Jalan Tun Razak, and Jalan Bukit Bintang. And when you look at that, 5.3 kilometers, ladies and gentlemen, we execute this for 2 circuits of 275 kV underground cable. And you will see us working at night there, and then using the underground HDD drill, we call it high tension directional drill. We go down as deep as 5.5 meters underground, gentlemen. So in that sense, this skill is within our organization to be able to maneuver this underground up to 5.5 meters as required for delivering the job. So we are quite proud that we are doing it, and this is quite a major achievement for the group. So these are all the cables, and this job we work together with a Korean manufacturer called Taihan. We delivered all the cable into Kuala Lumpur already. Okay, so MRT2. Okay, before I finish, there's a client, no, there's a shareholder who sent me a question just now, Mr. Chua, who asked me, how do we handle this fluctuation of copper and stuff like that when we do our job? So if you can see all the pictures and all that, most of the time we are not buying raw material like metal or copper directly, but we're buying complete product. So all these products are procured and negotiated as a complete product without subject to the fluctuation of commodity so much. So once we have secured it through a tender rate and put down the order, the price is fixed throughout the whole contract. So this is most of the time the situation of our supply based on our contract. So we do not affect so much on the commodity pricing fluctuation, except for the copper that we buy. But copper that we use for earning is only maybe about 2-3% of every contract. That's about it. So other than substation and all that, I'd like to show these following few slides, the MRT job that we are doing. So if you notice, MRT1, the electrical power system is done by a Japanese company. But MRT2, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to say that it is all done by a Malaysian company, which is PESTECH, on the electrical system portion. So phase 1 we have completed. Now we are doing phase 2. And then with this completion, we will be one of the only, I think, few or if not one, Asian company that has got full experience of electrification for MRT2 project, which is so-called urban rail. Right, we got this opportunity through acquisition of a company called Kolas Rail Sdn Bhd, CRSE. and now executing it for Gamuda. Hopefully we can complete it on time by November or October this year. Right, so this is the site where you can see the tunnel of the MRT. This is in Chan Sao Ling, 42-story down, 42 meter underground. So we are laying cables, we are building substation underground in this job, including the AC and DC portion of the job. So all this, ladies and gentlemen, executed by local engineers working together with, of course, support of Colas as our partners. Okay, these are just some of the pictures that we have. So with this completion, hopefully before MRT3 come, we will be in a position to bid with a completed job reference. Anyway, we have completed phase 1 of the MRT2. Hopefully this will give us what they call an edge when we tender for MRT3 that is up and coming. Right, other kind of job of rail other than underground cable kind of work for urban rail, we also are executing a contract for YTL for Southern Double Track, where our responsibility again is the electrical portion of the work, including signaling for this job. So our work is a bit different from MRT because the cable right now is OCS, we call it overhead catenary system, where it is bare conductor instead of underground cable. Just because this is 100 or 90 kilometer long, but MRT2 is just 52 kilometers, so we can use cable, which is more reliable. But 190 kilometer, if you want to use underground cable, very expensive. So that's why we call it the main rail, which is long distance, and it is overhead catenary system. So with this is also a know-how within our group. They are able to deliver this. Right. So other than that, recently we also win a job in Kappa through Kappa Energy, a 300 megawatt coal-fired plant upgrade. So this is just to show the various kind of from A to Z in the electrical network that PESTECH as a group has got know-how to execute it in order to deliver different kind of solution to the utility. So other than Malaysia, let's look at the region. Other than Cambodia, we're doing work in Papua New Guinea. So you can see, actually, the market for us is in the region, if not the whole world, because what we are doing is handling high voltage, what they call it, electrical system, which is similar all around the world because it's physics. If it is 132 kV, physics of 132 kV in Papua New Guinea is same as physics for 132 kV in Malaysia. So with that, we can deliver our service all around the region where it is required when we want to build a network or a substation. So again, this job in Papua New Guinea include also the transmission line and the substation, both portion, and we are all doing it in-house through our own engineer in terms of design, execution, and also commissioning. So again, this is Philippines. The same pictures you see is, this is a 230 kilovolt substation. Again, the physics in Philippines, same as the physics in Malaysia. So that's why we can send our engineer, export our know-how into executing it, the job in Philippines. Many hours flight away, 3 hours maybe, from Kuala Lumpur. Okay. So this is just to show that this is another job that we got from Philippines, a job to build a substation in Boracay Island. I don't know whether you're familiar with Philippines, but Boracay is a heaven of white sand beaches. So I hope I can fly very soon so I can go and have a look at the site where I can spend some time on the beach near Boracay. So Boracay substation is also something that we are doing in Philippines. So other than all these things that we are doing, we hope it's clear what area of service that PESTECH is doing. I also all the time been getting questions about concern on our gearing ratio from the public and also from the shareholders. I just want to explain a little bit. If you look at our books, as of last year, June 30, 2020, we have a borrowing of about 1.2 billion. And some of the people was telling, hey, you do job, but you didn't collect. Is your customer not paying you? But ladies and gentlemen, out of the 1.2 billion, we have a so-called an investment project, which I touched on earlier, a concession portion that we created since 2016. We have invested 715 million ringgit to a concession project, which is an investment project, we call it. And all this investment project is having a repayment period, recurring income to the group of about between 7 years to 25 years. So within our so-called order book, inside our order book, we have right now about 5 concessions. 3 we have completed COD as of January 2020. And we are collecting right now every month $3 million directly from the utility. So you can see as of 2021 half year, we have pared down payment for the investment project, which reduced our debt of the investment project into 642 million. And why is it? Because these projects are ring fence. So the owing to the bank, because of the investment we put in, is ring fence with the collection. So ladies and gentlemen, a big portion of our borrowing, is actually due to the investment project that we already have a ring fence mechanism of paying down. So if you take out the one, actually our EPCC normal business borrowing is actually at about 470 million, which gives us only a gearing ratio of about 0.69. So that is the reason why our gearing ratio is at a level of about 1.98 as of end of 2020. So gearing ratio as a half year, first half year of 2021 is 1.64, and we are monitoring it so it doesn't go beyond 2.5, but we keep a cap at 2. So with that, when you see the additional debt there, this is just what do you call that? An indication. If we are going to hold on to another concession job, we can take on another 245 million as of 31st December 2020, and we are not go beyond 2, our gearing ratio. Why we like to have a concession? Because in the concession business, we have integrated income, basically both the EPCC and also the concession margin. So that give the group a better return during the construction and also during the concession period that will create us recurring income. So while we are careful not to take on more and more debt, we also are looking very, very closely into creating value for the company in terms of having more and more concession that will give us recurring income. So that is a situation of the books. But this slide is just showing that the 3 COD project that we got, how much we are going to collect for the next just 7 years. In fact, one of it goes all the way to 25 years as from now. So for the next 7 years, we will collect about 1.1 B. But in the ring fence mechanism, we are only paying our financer as about 400 million. So this created quite a healthy cash flow for the group in terms of collection. And with this, we are able to now look at very closely, again, a question by Mr. Chua on the dividend. When is a forthcoming dividend? So with all these concession project that we have COD, now the group can really look at how are we going to reward the shareholder that have been staying with us in the years to come. But of course, we will also balance out because the company is still in the growing phase. That's why we do not able to tell when and how we're going to give a dividend, but definitely we're going to start the ball rolling again after we have stopped for about 2-3 years, which is evidenced in the last quarter, the last half year. As of 30 December 2020, we have given about 1 cent of a dividend out. So we hope we can give more in the years to come. All right. So other than the general conventional works and all that, because of the nature of the work that we are in, is actually directly what they call that, influenced or affected by the development of more and more power that we definitely use in terms of urbanization and modernization. So sustainability development is definitely one of our main concerns when we do our day-to-day business. So a big portion of our effort right now is to go into finding solution to sustainably generate electricity for the use of the urban people and also the remote people. So because more and more electricity will be used, how is it generated is the key. All right. So how are we doing it? There are a few efforts that we are doing right now. First, I want to share with you guys, we call it the renewable-based microgrid system. And we have delivered this as a proof of concept and a show that we can do it in a orang asli kampung in Jalan Pahang, Tapak, Batu 23. In this village, there's about 137 people living in two group of houses, and our solution has to be clean, renewable. So how do we do it? Okay, so with the help of a company called Adapter from Germany, which is experts in terms of energy management and also hydrogen fuel cell technology, we are looking at delivering the solution using hydrogen. Why hydrogen? Because hydrogen is a odorless, tasteless element, and there's a lot in the universe. And when you burn hydrogen, it gives you clean energy because there's no carbon in H, right? So when you burn hydrogen, you will get only water. And because of that, we incorporate hydrogen in the solution for our microgrid. Okay, so how does it work? We put solar. When the solar is generating power daytime, some of the energy will go into an electrolyzer where it will do electrolysis to break down the water and create hydrogen. So when the hydrogen is created, it is stored in a tank. Okay, when there is no sun for a day, when the energy is depleted from the supercapacitor that we deliver there, the hydrogen will be used in the fuel cell to generate electricity and create water back. So this is the basic principle of it, where we have applied in our solution towards remote area where you don't have electrical grid yet. Okay, so with that, we assemble and we manufacture this hydrogen fuel cell in our plant and deliver this to Tapa, Batu 23 for the orang asli, and they are able to get 24/7 electricity supply, which they do not have for the last 20 years. So with this, we generate electricity sustainably through the use of solar, hydrogen fuel cell, and using water as fuel, and also supercapacitor to replace the battery, because battery is also not long lasting, and we have a problem into what they call that, handling the battery after its cell life. So, and you can see in the far end there in the picture, there's also a disk that you can see, because we put in remote monitoring for our microgrid. So remotely right now, actually from our laptop, I can see whether the system is working or not in Tapa for the Orang Asli village. So with this, we are able to deliver solution to the people who stay in remote area who do not have electric grid service. And then it is going to save money for the utility so that they do not have to invest in this social responsible project who bring grid all the way to all that 137 people in Tapa, which take a long time for any utility to do because of investment required. So, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say we have 3 projects in hand, which is 100 kilowatt hour microgrid solution for a village in, this is actually New Island project. This is in Papua New Guinea. I've got to put it there. And this is a village of 24 houses with 1 kilometer radius. And our responsibility, including replacing the diesel genset and then install a small distribution network for the 24 houses to distribute power to all the houses. And the project cost is about 1.8 million for them. And then we also have another one that is supplying a 150 kilowatt hour system microgrid to a hospital in the same area. Okay, and this is a project cost of about 2.4 million for the hospital. But ladies and gentlemen, this too is very minimum if you compare to bringing the grid, submarine cable and all that from the main island, go to the new island in Papua New Guinea, so that they will have continuous power supply instead of have to wait for diesel genset to transport from the main island to their village. So, and then at home, somewhere near here is Sibu, Sarawak. We are also executing a project for a longhouse with 20 pintu, inclusive of a distribution network set up with smart meter for each of the houses. And this project cost is about 1.3 million. So PESTECH is now engaging into a business of creating sustainable generation of energy and to service remote area as a contribution to delay the requirement of the grid in order to improve the life and the lifestyle of the people in the remote area. So with that, we are very proud to say we have contributed in the supply of electricity for these people who live in a remote area where there's no grid, right? And other than that, the small grid, we are actually also having know-how to build a large-scale solar. And right now we are building one in Cambodia for 20 megawatt solar plant, which is owned by our own group, which we own 94% of the solar farm. We were at a rate of about 7.6 cents US per kilowatt hour. So this one, we again are doing our own EPCC, designing the solar farm, the layout, and also the interconnection, which is our expertise. And there is a 6 kilometer 22 kV line in order to connect the solar farm to the grid, to EDC, which is our customer anyway. And then earthwork is currently ongoing, and actually the first batch of solar panel already there. We target to commission this place by November 2021, right? And again, we are doing our own EPCC, precast method of construction again, so that we build the foundation and the required what they call that structure as on a precast method, and then lay out all the solar panel modularly. And we put in the containerized solution of the substation using dry transformer so that there's no oil in the solar farm. And we're going to put in our microgrid as well, so that this solar farm is really green. It doesn't have any connection to the grid that is taking power for its own use. The only thing that is going to the grid is the generated solar farm, solar energy. So it's really a green solar farm that we are creating. So our approach towards renewable energy is trying to continue to provide solutions to power up the remote community and industry in a sustainable way through our project that hopefully will sustain the environment. So indeed, we are improving quality of life through a sustainable business activity, which is our mission. And at the same time, we are going to continue to promote this to the industry owner to build RE on a BOT basis, so to solve the issue of technology anxiety and maybe the cost of maintenance and worry about maintenance. So we hope we can turn more industry into sustainable industry, and also farmers into becoming a sustainable farming. And then we will continue to explore collaboration with technology partner, which recently, through our listing of Cambodia, we have collaborated a company from Germany called MR, who has got technology to improve quality of so-called harmonics in a renewable energy farm, as well as so-called high power EV charging station, which I'll go into it after a short while. Right, so here it comes. We go. Let me into our talking about a little bit about our EV charging initiative. Why are we going into EV charging at this point of time, which is still very at the beginning stage in Malaysia, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this chart here, The energy consumption in Malaysia, right? If you look at 100%, 37% of energy consumption is due to power station, industrial 17%, transportation system 26%. Of course, you get residential and then some of this as non-energy user. So out of this 26, out of this distribution of energy consumption, the contribution to CO2 emission, the biggest portion is energy, which is power plant, 54%. Transportation contribute 25% of the CO2 emission. So, and if you look at transportation system, in 2015, the whole transportation system, remember that CO2 is 25%. Inside that 25%, 47% contribution is from car and petrol. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are out there, hear me out here. It is a low-hanging fruit to move from petrol car into EV car, because that we will help ourselves by reducing CO2 emission into our environment that we breathe. So let's work together to move away from tailpipe exhaust CO2 and leave the CO2 to the power plant first as a first step. So with that, we go into what they call it, working towards promoting the use of EV charging. And I would like to share with you this what we call roadmap. We started with ability to deliver a 3.7 kilowatt charging station. What's the concept? It means if a normal car, let's say what they call that, Nissan Leaf or something like that, this will take about 7-8 hours to charge full. And of course, the higher power is it, the shorter it takes to charge. So we are now able to do 7 kilowatt and also have option for 22 kilowatt. But recently we have tested our system that is 150 kilowatt, which is able to charge a Tesla in about 30-45 minutes. So the whole roadmap of EV charging is already matured in the company, ready to roll out. And also we have put up apps that we can allow consumer to download and then book a charging place, and also to start charge, stop charge anytime that you want, as long as you see a charging point that is able to be scanned through a QR code. So we are working with TMB as well as Park Easy right now. We hope there's more and more EV car take up, so that in a way contribute to reduction of CO2 emission in the city. So this is a video that shows that we have tested this with Tesla. I don't know whether it can run. Let me try and do this thing. Okay. All right. So we have done this for 150 kilowatt charging point and plugging into a Tesla that we can be charging it, working together with TMB. So we hope there's more and more charging points that we can work and give the what we call it, range anxiety reduced for the people who own an EV car, so that we can play a part in the environment. All right, so with all that behind me, let's talk a little bit about prospects. As of January, actually we do it up to January, this one. As of January 2021, our order book in hand is 2.2 billion. In fact, we can foresee this year, this financial year 2021, may be one of the best years so far of the new contract that we're able to secure. And as of January 2021, we are already 37% more than the last half year. So we are very positive in the so-called new order intake in the year 2021. Our tender book, major tender book, ladies and gentlemen, as of 31st January is at 2.2 billion. So what is driving all this is because we are in the region of fast growing, the 5th economy in the world, Southeast Asia, where a lot of energy infrastructure is still need to be continued to be built. And we have a market size of about 20-30 billion US dollar a year, which we are currently only about 1 or 2% based on our turnover yearly of close to about 200-300 million US dollar. So as of TMB, of course, recently we see a bit of hype in the activity of TMB, but it's still slow compared to the region. So we have tendered a few, in TMB. Hopefully it can be concluded within this financial year. But there's also other part of the world, like Papua New Guinea, there's a solar farm, 11 megawatts. So we are targeting all around the region, looking at all around the region, not just in Malaysia itself, because we have become active and able to deliver our job all around the region. So there's an 11 megawatt solar farm that we're looking at in Papua New Guinea, and also some substation. And Cambodia, of course, Cambodia is is hot, is very fast growing. The electricity requirement is growing at a pace of about 20 to 30% a year. And look at the number of kilometers of transmission line that's required in in Cambodia. 230 kV, you need 394 kilometers of transmission line all the way to just from now to 2025. Okay, and also solar farm. There is a 40 megawatt additional solar PV that is called by EDC recently, which we also participated, where the land is provided by the government with $1 leasing, and the bidder is supposed to bid in order to construct the solar farm and asking for a price. So it's a 40 megawatt plant with a 52 megawatt install capacity. So we have tendered this. Don't ask me how much I tendered because this is confidential, it's still in evaluation stage. So what I'm trying to say is the opportunity all around the region as far as solar and renewable energy is concerned as well. Philippines, we are there since 2017. So far in Philippines, we are very active. I'll show you what we have there. But these are the project lists from 2020 to 2040. So there's definitely a lot of projects in Philippines, and they are rolling out more because after COVID, the government is pushing out more and more projects so that it can kickstart the economy internally before the private sector take over. So because TBN is trying to build a backbone of the transmission system all the way from Luzon to Visayas to Mindanao Island. Right, so these are all the list of substation or things that they're going to build in Philippines. Right now, PESTECH as a company, we are actually executing 4 projects in Philippines, totaling at a value of around equivalent 300 million ringgit. So definitely, we have already set our foot in Philippines, and recurring contract is happening every now and then from Philippines. All right. Other than all the transmission line and substation, I want to share a little bit on the rail. So as our experience in rail electrification is built up, consisting of MRT2 kind, urban rail, and also main rail kind of project, long distance rail, we are now able to tender all around the region. The main one right now is the North-South Railway project for Philippines, from Malolos to Tutuban. For 37-kilometer project, we will join together with Hitachi. It's a JICA-funded project. So there's also a Taiwan opportunity and also a Bangkok opportunity called an Orange Line. We have completed Red Line in Bangkok. So now we are tendering for Orange Line. So we are hoping rail electrification will be our upside contributor, which will bring us from 1 billion company revenue into 2 billion in about 3-4 years to come. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's about it that I have in terms of sharing of the current project and also some prospect of the company and outlook. So I will stop here, but if you follow us, you get Instagram and Facebook, you will see our activity and progress up to date. So pass it back to you, Sean.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul, for your very insightful sharing about PESTECH. I think we have learned a great deal about PESTECH business, the business model, and also the future prospects. So it appears that the future prospect remains very, very bright for the next few years to come. So if any questions to ask the Group CEO of PESTECH International Bhd, please type in the Q&A box, not the chat box, so that we can easily manage your questions. So let me repeat that. If any question to ask the Managing Director, come Group CEO of PESTECH, please write in the Q&A box, not the chat box, so we can easily manage your question. Of course, for our friends who are tuning in from YouTube, you can ask in the YouTube live chat, then we will pick a few questions there. All right, so let me go through the questions. We already have over 30 questions right now on the panel, but of course, due to time constraint, we may not be able to answer all of them. So let me just quickly go through. Now, I see that there are a few questions on asking about who are your closest competitors in the area of the business that you do.
All right, Sean. Okay, our closest competitor, I think we see quite a lot of system integrator from MNC from the region. So we meet people from Europe and also these Japanese and from Korea. And and also of course China. So they are system integrator that is also doing the building infrastructure for utility.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Yeah. Okay, so next question is, while the net profit are expanding, however, the percentage of net profit attributable to the owners have reduced. Can you give us an indication of the percentage that will be shared with the non-controlling shareholders? That is by Mr. KK Chua.
Okay, I mean, it depends on the what they call it, phase of the execution of the project. Right now, we are actually only have two projects that we have a non-controlling interest sharing. One is the Deep Diamond Power project that is already completed COD, which is going through a constant collection of payment right now, which is a fixed 40% of that project only. And the new one that we have is under execution, which is the Siam Reap area project, which we own 70%. So we only have these two that we are sharing with non-controlling guys. So, but there's no exactly the percentage of how much from our revenue, but it depends on the execution phase of that Siam Reap project that will be fluctuating.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also have a questions from YouTube. Yong Yo, who want to ask, like, for solar EPCC, is PETECH able to compete with the local solar players?
Well, EPCC for solar is part of our EPCC business segment, which we will put, and our normal so-called required maintain at a margin that we want is 9 to 11%. So of course we will quote to the people who won the LLS in Malaysia, but really our EPCC team is executing project all around the region. So there's no one project that we really must get, but every project that we get, we hope will bring us a net profit of about 9 to 11%. John.
Okay. The next question is by Ram Sama. What is your cost in producing one smart meter, and how does the green energy impact to your business?
Green energy impact to my business. Well, the profit margin of the group, we try to set an average of about 9 to 11%. So they will apply to everything that we do on an average basis. Green energy is actually get no impact to our project. In fact, we are very happy if we go greener and greener because of the know-how and the activity that we are engaging in right now. So we are able to participate in renewable energy of solar form, and we are going into waste to energy. So in fact, more and more, if there is more and more renewable energy sources, we are able to expand our service more and more towards building the whole power plant, because thermal power plant and gas power plant are more complex and more, what do you call it? What's the word for it? And more niche in terms of people who are able to market it, that they can do it on their own. So if renewable energy sources increase more and more, it's actually a plus point for us in terms of able to execute our service to various customers more, because the renewable energy plant are mostly modular and are mostly comparatively easier to build compared to a process plant that involve burning of coal or gas power plant, steam turbine and stuff like that.
Okay. The next question is by William Tor. PESTECH invested close to $4 million for a 90% stake in a solar farm at BAHRU, Cambodia.
Yep.
So he has a few questions. Number one, how much is needed to invest to commission the solar farm? Is the cost inclusive of the land cost? So that's question number one.
Oh, yep. Yeah, we have invested, we have, at the beginning, we won the EPC portion. And then we got into opportunity where the owner wanted to divest his interest. So we offered $4 million. So he's willing to let go 94% of the share while still maintaining 6% as a friendly party. So we took on the opportunity, and now we own 94% of the job. So to execute the job, inclusive of the land cost, is about 21 million during the construction period, and the maintenance phase is about $3 to $4 million, inclusive of the 20 years maintenance. So total cost of the project is about 24 million to the EPC guy with O&M. So that is the our solar farm.
Okay. Now the next question from him is like, what is the progress to date, and what kind of return do you expect?
Well, our COD is currently at October 2021. Sorry. So if COVID situation allow, we may not need extension. But of course, COVID is enemy that we cannot see. So we are trying to still maintain the date. So the IRR for the project is about 12 at the moment, because of the rate that Cambodia government is giving. So we are able to achieve about 12% IRR.
All right. So I think our government is also very focused on the renewable energy right now. So the next question is, did PESTECH bid for LSS4? If not, why?
Okay, no, we didn't bid for LLS4 because at the moment, the result of the LLS3 make us feel that with the same amount of investment as a company, we will have to look for opportunity elsewhere to maintain our margin of 9 to 11%. So we didn't bid for LLS4 as a developer, but we definitely are quoting as an EPC also for LLS4. Of course, it's up to the developer who won it, whether they will use us with this reliable and able to give them a what they call it, secured order, a secured supply and system, compared to other, they will quote them. But in the whole region, Sean, we have about 20 to 30 billion market available for us. So EPCC to build solar is a part of the EPCC portion of the work. So there's no definite project that we must win, but we will quote, of course, whenever there's opportunity.
Okay. Mr. Paul, would you enlighten us on the risk of any change in the governments for your long-term concessions? That is asked by Eric Kong. Okay,
for our concession business, of course, we have 25 years. We have one 25 years. The other one is 7 years. And we have one 4 years. And our Siam Reap project is 10 years. So all these projects we have, when we secure the financing, we do have a requirement to purchase project PRI, project political risk insurance, a political risk insurance that will cover and recover our costs invested. So this is taken care by the insurance. Of course, so far we've been consistently receiving over 3-4 years already. Every month, about 3 million right now we are collecting from Cambodia utility.
Okay. Could you also tell us, just now we see that you have, many different projects, not only domestically, but also regionally. So could you tell us like how many % of PESTECH's revenue is from local and how many % are from overseas?
Okay, right now we have about 60-40 in terms of the order book, 60% overseas, 40% local. The 40% local mostly because of a real electrification job, MRT2 and Southern Double Track. Of course, we do have TMB contract and Sarawak Energy contract as well.
Okay. So the next question is like, may I know, after the completion of these substations, does it mean that there will be further almost perpetual maintenance contracts? Now, is it fair to assume that it will be about 10 to 20% of total capital costs?
What do you mean? So, okay, on a substation when we build, if we don't own the concession, we are EPC contractor. So when we finish it, the utility will actually take over the maintenance. So, but for concession project, for example, our Krache to Kampong Cham project, we are responsible for the O&M. So that part, we are doing the operation and maintenance as well. But for the EPCC project, we are not involved in the maintenance project. Utility mostly do it on their own and ask for service whenever there is a required specialized knowledge required in terms of the system that we deliver.
Okay, there's also a question from YouTube who want to ask Mr. Paul that do you plan to do or undertake private placement or rights issue to improve your company's gearing?
Not at the moment, because like I said, the gearing is actually normal business operation gearing is about 0.69 right now. So not a level of concern, because the others part are all ring fence, which actually in terms of cost to the company is actually costed and manageable. So we are not looking at right issue or placement to what they call that, improve anything or any of our gearing, because we are actually at about 0.69 if we take out all the ring fence kind of concession business.
Yeah, very good to hear that. So from another question from YouTube from Brian Choi is that for EV charger segment that you just presented, when do you expect to have contribution to the company? If yes, how much will it be?
Well, right now in the Klang Valley, we have about 18 EV charging stations where we do some of it revenue sharing, some of it we supply the hardware. So of course, right now, EV car in Malaysia is still very, what do you call this? Infant stage. So we are hoping to contribute in terms of promoting it and educate it. And this is the way to go. And it's a low-hanging fruit to reduce CO2 emission in the city where we breathe the air. And so we will continue to convince the authority and also the maybe the mall owner to put in more EV charging point facility so that it will go hand in hand when there's more and more EV car on the road, which is definitely the trend in the world. Because if I remember correctly, by the year 2030 or 2035, the European car maker no longer will produce petrol car, fossil fuel car. So by then, definitely, if you don't want to go EV, you also have to buy EV.
Okay. Of course, we also have our friend here, Kang Xian, asking this question from Zoom. The US is going to launch 500,000 EV charging stations by 2030.
Yep.
So is PESTECH having a plan to enter into the US market?
Well, it takes 24 hours to fly there, so I think it will be a bit far-fetched. But around the region here, we got plenty of opportunity for us to grow our business. I don't think in the near future we will go to US.
Okay.
Yep. Because I don't know, you notice the slide I have, I think in the year 2030, there will be about 40 million vehicles in Southeast Asia. So there's more than enough cars to serve here. So definitely we will need quite a lot of EV charging point, maybe in the 5 years to 10 years to come.
Okay.
Yeah,
The next question is by Terry, who would like to ask, like, would you guide us on your CAPEX expectation ahead, probably in financial year 2022?
Well, our works actually doesn't require us to have a lot of CAPEX. We actually are basically built on infrastructure. So we are EPCC contractor, except we have investment when we have a so-called concession project where we invest to build the asset, and when we collect over a period of time, like IPP, we call it a IPT, independent power transmitter. So CAPEX is not a big equation in our works. So we do not require CAPEX to grow our business, but just normal administrative CAPEX. So there's no big CAPEX required.
Okay. For the concession project, what is your targeted EIRR? That is asked by YH Hun.
Targeted. So far, all our concession project, we are at about high teens. Right. So of course, it differs project by project.
Yeah. So the follow-up questions by him is that are the concession projects in Cambodia government guarantee?
It differs. The first project that we did, Kampung Cham Krache, there's no government guarantee. Subsequently, the other project all having it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Peter Ling would like to ask, like, for transmission lines, how many years do you require to do maintenance after you complete the project?
Wow. Okay, like I said, transmission line, for example, our concession project, we have 25 years responsibility to maintain it. Actually, a transmission line, after you build, it can last 40 years or 50 years. It is built to last for 40 years. So along the line, the utility will always maintain it in terms of cutting the trees, right, making sure that there's no what they call a conductor all around the transmission line and things like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me see the next question. Does EV charging require upgrade of power grid?
EV charging require upgrade of power grid? No, you don't require upgrade of power grid, but it's a solution that you need to put in so that it doesn't disturb the grid. That is the answer, I guess. When you have a 22 kilowatt, it doesn't matter. But when you have a 300 kilowatt charging station where you can charge a car in about 10-20 minutes from 0 to 80%, then you need to put a solution in that it will not disturb the grid when the car is charging. So that will not affect the grid. Yeah.
So Raymond would like to ask, what are the challenges faced by the company and also the completion of pricing? Sorry, I think there's a typo, so let me try to understand. I think it's competition. So the question is, what are the challenges faced by the company and also the competition of pricing of your products with similar industry players?
Well, I said in our industry, we are working in the industry that is a lot of what they call that demand, right? In the whole region per year, we are looking at about 20 to 30 billion US dollar investment per year. So in fact, our major tender book, every quarter when we report our major tender book is in the region of around at least 1 to 1.5 billion. So our key take in this, basing on our know-how and all that, is to maintain our margin, net margin of about 9 to 11%. So far, we are only looking at about less than 1 to 2% of available market. So definitely there's always another substation or transmission line to build. And then our challenge is to how to expand the service that we can provide to our client. So that's why we're going into real electrification as well, so that we can have a broader market access that we can have without must win any project that we tender. So this has been our business model so far, Sean.
Okay. So I also see many questions on the future prospect. Like Mr. Paul, would you be able to like guide us on what is your expected compound annual growth rate of the company for the next 5 years?
Well, it's hard to say, right? I mean, beyond 5 years or something, right? Now we hope is everybody got vaccinated and COVID is behind us. So we are hoping in the year 2022 we are able to achieve our 1B revenue first as our first target. Year 2021 is our year end is coming soon, which is June 2021. So we may have a challenge to achieve our long-term target of 1B because of the slowness, not stop completely, but slowness in the project in Malaysia and in the region pocket, what do you call that, hindrance here and there in Philippines and Cambodia because of COVID cases. So revenue churning has become a challenge as well this financial year. But we are looking at closing at maybe at around 800 or close to 900 million, but not achieving our 1B. So we are hoping in the near future, 2022, we were able to achieve 1B turnover with everybody got vaccinated. So ladies and gentlemen, please get yourself registered in MySejahtera so everybody can get vaccinated.
Yeah, it's a nice reminder for all of us here.
Yeah.
The next question is, just now, Mr. Paul, you mentioned about the unrealized forex loss of about 15 million. So the question is, has it been computed in the earnings per share? Is the earning per share excluded the forex loss?
Excluded? No, it's included. Of course, it's included in our report. So we are reporting a lower
Earning per share.
Earning per share because of the unrealized loss that we have to report based on the accounting standard. It's all the paper loss, what I'm trying to explain just now in our slide, because of the US dollar ups and down. Of course, during January to March, US dollar did recover a bit. So asset will maybe contribute unrealized gain likely instead of unrealized loss. Because it fluctuates every quarter, depends on the situation of the US dollar exchange rate against ringgit, because we are reporting in ringgit. So it's actually so-called a paper loss if we have not really collected it. But because we do have a foreseeable fixed schedule of payment in all these US dollar collection by a utility company, so we are able to do our planning and hedging. So we have been getting realized gain most of the time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, PESTECH has done many projects in the region in many different countries. So could you enlighten us, like, do you have any collection issues with all the projects in various countries? And if yes, then how would that impact the cash flow?
Well, we are a bit lucky. All our counterparties are statutory body or big conglomerate. For example, Real Electrification, our client are Gamuda, and then the Southern Double Track is YTL. The rest of the transmission line and substation are all utilities. So our counterparty risk is actually minimal. And then, for example, in Philippines, we do get a letter of credit. And other than that, our projects are funded by ADB, JICA. So all these are construction development bank, which is very low risk in terms of collection. So far, on our history of doing business, we have not got any bad debt yet.
Fantastic. So Kok Yong would like to ask on EV charging station.
Yep.
Does PESTECH target only Malaysian market, or you also look at end-to-end green energy provider, like from renewable energy to charging station?
Yes, of course. We are actually trying to build EV charging station using renewable energy only whenever that is possible. And of course, if you ask me if it's only for Malaysian market, our plan right now is hopefully we can do something sizable in Malaysia before we go to other countries, because actually really we are a company based in Malaysia. If people ask us, how big have you done in Malaysia before you go to Cambodia to do EV charging? We actually say not yet. We hope you give us the first break, and it's not so nice. So of course we are able to offer the service all around region. Like I said, physics are all the same. Electricity, you charge a car, it's all the same. So we are able to do it, but of course we like to do it at home first before we go out of Malaysia.
There are also a few questions on asking you to estimate what are the chances of winning the tender, like in Cambodia projects also, or in domestic projects.
Our tender hit rate is about 20% right now. Of course, it depends on project by project. But like I said, the industry that we are in, because it's electricity and building network for the utility. So we are the people behind you that make sure you can switch on the light, like the title of your presentation tonight. So, and demand for that service is definitely very high, because nobody like it if there's no electricity, especially at night. So utility will continue to build and ensure a reliable and secure network for each of their country. So that's why there will be continuous investment into upgrades or even new requirement, because if you don't build and maintain it, electricity network will fail by itself because you are using it, and it's just a mathematical solution. They will have no solution. Then the whole network will fail and collapse just on its own. So that is the danger if you not continue to invest in the electricity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, do you think that there's a high possibility that PESTECH will return to the earning per share of 4 cents per quarter, or about 20 million in financial year 2022?
20 million? Okay, I'm not sure the figures, how it comes out, but our target, like I said, is always a net earning percentage of 9 to 11%. So if we are doing at about 800 million, 700 million to 800 million, so we will be hoping to have a profit after tax of about 60 to 70 million ringgit.
Okay. Now, Jit Yen would like to ask, like, are you happy with PESTECH share price right now? Do you have any idea, any proposal to do share buyback?
Well, no, I mean, when we do share buyback, we are not basing on whether we are happy or not happy, but because we are having a need to have some treasury shares so that we can reward our staff. So we will do share buyback when there is a need. But of course, if you ask me share price happy or not happy, I think we hope share price doesn't affect our business and our attitude towards business.
Okay, very, very nice answer. Okay, since you also have you have a lot of businesses in Cambodia. So the next question is, how do you see the Vietnamese market? Do you have any plan to enter into the market?
Well, actually, we have set up a company in Vietnam called what? PESTECH Vietnam Limited. We actually have a company we set up like a year ago. a year or two ago. So we started to look at it only at the year 2019 like that. So very frank, honestly, we are a bit late to go into Vietnam market, but definitely there's opportunity that we cannot turn our back without looking at it. So we are starting now to look at Vietnam in terms of more towards services to the power plant and more niche other than just transmission line and substation, which we are a bit late because there's a lot of players in it that we don't need to go and put a leg again, but we want to give our service that is not yet common, which is still depends on other MNC like power plant upgrades and automation, even real electrification, things like that. And solar rooftop as well. There's a few malls in Vietnam that is looking for solar rooftop that requiring different kind of approach. For example, build, maintenance, and transfer, other than just IPP agreement.
Okay.
Yep.
Farhan would like to ask, like, how is the microgrid prospect in the future?
Well, we are very excited about microgrid, and I feel that gel very well into what we want to do in terms of growing the electricity, meeting the electricity demand. Because we feel microgrid is a solution to give supply to the remote villages, which is in Malaysia context is still a lot in Sabah and Sarawak, not so much in Peninsula, except for the Orang Asli village where we have done in Tapa, and also still around a few Orang Asli village in Perak and Pahang state. So microgrid is a solution that will be able to give power supply and improve the quality of life of these remote villages where they do not have stable and constant electricity supply. And there is plenty of opportunity in country like in Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, and Laos, and before February this year in Myanmar. So Myanmar, we just have to wait and see. But in Myanmar, actually, there's a lot of villages, thousands over villages that's without the grid. So microgrid, if you ask me, is going to be a very exciting space that we are definitely looking at it very, very, what do you call it, actively. Because we are able to deliver this solution in modular basis in container system. And this is what we also are doing for Sarawak government, working together with Sarawak Energy. If they can expand it for the use of all the remote longhouses villages, it will really solve the problem of not able to give constant supply to the longhouses in Sarawak.
That's great.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Lim, for giving us a very wonderful presentation of PESTECH International Bhd. So we are very excited about the company's prospect going forward, and hopefully we can see that PESTECH reaching 1 billion revenue in the next years to come. All right. So thank you everybody for tuning in for this session live chat with PESTECH. So let me tell you more about what Kenanga has for you by CanTrade. So the next webinar we have is live chat with SolarVest Holdings Bhd, which is happening on the 15th April 2021, which is a Thursday. So 8:30 to about 10 p.m. So the registration link we have just given you in the chat box. Please register for it. So it is happening on next Thursday, which is 1 week from now. So we'll hear from a EPCC player, another EPCC player in the solar field, right? So, and this is the CanTrade webinar in April 2021. Not only SolarVest happening on the 15th of April, we also have the head of Kenanga Research coming to talk about start of a new cycle on the 27th of April, okay, which is done by Mr. Koh Huat Sun. All right, so if you if you really want to hear what Kenanga Research has for you, please also block your date for 27th of April, which is a Tuesday. So for those of you who have not had a Kenanga trading account, please fill up this form at www.kenanga.com cantrade.com.my/open-account-form, so that you can register your interest, and Kenanga Investment Bank will arrange a friendly dealer representative to attend to your needs to open an account under Cantrade. So with that, thank you everybody for joining these sessions. You have just heard from Mr. Paul Lim, who is the Managing Director cum Group CEO of PESTECH International Bhd. Thank you so much for sharing with us the company background so that we understand your business, understand your business performance, as well as what does future hold for PESTECH International Bhd. Thank you, Mr. Paul Lim.
Thank you, Shan. Bye.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and have a pleasant rest of the day. Bye-bye.